Hello guys, welcome here on my presentation. I'm happy you come because I know this topic isn't that probably most of the interesting here in the conference, but I will try to make it as much interesting as I can for you. So hello, my name is David. Who am I? I work as a Mesa 3D developer, which is generally graphic drivers. Except that I'm also a Debian developer. I playing with CI testing, language models, and a lot of other stuff. And also, I try to contribute to embedded development for mostly because of Linux phones and also other stuff sometimes. Let's do the presentation. So I will tell you just basic things. What about this Mesa 3D project? Why we did what we did, and what was our motivation, and why it's which part and which software we used, and what's next, kind of. So let's go. So Mesa 3D itself is GPU drivers in general. We support like OpenGL, Vulkan, OpenCL, all the rendering APIs or like computing APIs, except CUDA, of course. And our infrastructure is hosted on GitLab, and we have our own GitLab instance. So what do we do? For our testing, we using Debian, and we building containers and rootfs, which we later using on the device under the tests, and we run our test suites and everything on it. For us, we're using most of the software which Debian provides, but sometimes we need to use some cutting edge. So far, most of people was just picking some commit of recent fixed software which we need and push it into our containers. So what we needed to do, what is current our problem? We have few requirements which are kind of exclusive to each other. And that's like, we need stability and reproducibility. Because when you're running huge testing farms and some developer commits some code, he doesn't want to think what package you used. He wants like a consistent result all the time. So you cannot change anything which may impact any test. And that can be also anything. Any small changes. You see like Debian, we're using Debian stable, but if we use Debian stable security, there is a huge chance with some security fix up, something will change and it will produce a little bit different result. Maybe for better, maybe for worse, but it will be different result, and we don't want that. So this is first part. Second part is maintainability. We want the developers have ability to just update packages when they need to, and we cannot expect from them they will be Debian or Ubuntu developers. So this is pretty hard part, because I want to ask anyone from you packaged some Debian or Ubuntu software ever? Oh, nice. At least some people. Happy to hear that, see that. So as you know, every package has a little bit different structure, a little bit different tools, a little bit different approach how to do it. So this is pretty challenge if you want to automate it and say like, oh, hey, developer, you want new version. Let's, bump the number and it will be fine. That's not going to happen when you do the Debian stuff classically and you use multiple different packages. And the last thing, why we did that is like the performance, because we compile our containers and this compile time takes like 1 hour. So if you do one change with a script, you change one line, which is in the container, you have to wait 1 hour until container recompiles. That's terrible experience. If you want to like improving this thing efficiently, it like takes too much time. So the challenges. So right now we just compile the software as it is, like with some Make and Ninja or Mason, the basic stuff. So what we need to do is like move this out of the container build script. That's easy thing, right? You just copy paste of some code and build it somewhere else and move it into artifacts. That's easy one. can we make the repository for developer which can install and test locally? So right now, if we do packaging, Debian packaging, we want developers who use Debian or Ubuntu or whatever, or some alternative. We want them to be able to install these packages locally and test. We can do that. That's easy task. You just create a repository or in case of Ubuntu, some PPA, and you're finished. But the question is, can we make developers upgrade their packages without knowledge of Debian packaging? And now it's starting to getting hard, because it's like they don't understand every packaging style of Debian. They don't understand every repack, every patching procedure there, and they don't want to. They want to develop GPU drivers. So okay, we will talk about that. And another thing which we need is fix packages in the repository to specific version, because I will upgrade some packages and it may regress, and then I will need to rebuild old packages again. No, that's not a great way in our repository. So we need to pin some packages set at some point of the repository, and then if you want to upgrade, you just upgrade. So first thing, where to store the repository? So as you heard the last problem or challenge we had, we need versioned repository. So first thing which comes to mind is Git, of course. And then for the packages which are binary objects, so it's not very useful to store them as normal Git objects, we use large file storage. So we can also store packages into Git, which is nice for us because of the versioning. And as you see these few lines, this is what you add into your Debian configuration, apt configuration. And with the Git hash, you are able to specify at which revision you want to get these packages. So in the CI, while the developer on his local machine, he can just set okay, give me latest, give me the latest package, give me the main repository, or Trixie, Bookworm, or any Ubuntu version repository. Then in the CI, we can say okay, just work with this hash, and until we decide, then bump to another. So maintainability, that's the harder part, which is not summed up with this slide. And as I said, Debian has a lot of ways how to manage software, and so we need to make it nicer. I used VCS tool for this because it takes care about download and versioning. So you kind of put into this simple file, you define VCS system, you define URL, and you define version. And then with one command, you just pull all the dependencies and sources, which is great. But what about the Debian directory? You can choose from two approaches right now. So if Debian has the software packaged already, you can pick the tree directly from Debian Salsa, for example. And you will get the Debian package for free, right? The maintainer will provide you with all the work. So that's an easy one. But for software which isn't in Debian yet, and we just have some hacky package build, then we need to provide Debian directory. So for that, we just put the Debian directory into the our Git repository under the package name, and we will maintain it for ourselves for now until it gets upstream at some point, for example. Or it can be also in cases when the build of Debian, which Debian does, when the build is very specific or we need some modification, we also can pull the Debian directory, and then we put URL to upstream project without the Debian directory, right? So the structure is kind of easy. You have two branches. One branch where you have the definition which packages you want to use and compile. And second Git repository, Git branch. Second Git branch, where you have the packages and the repository itself. The pipeline looks very easy. You prepare, you build, you deploy. That's like very simple pipeline. At this moment, there is much more package, but this is how it looks like. And so in first phase, we just prepare containers. So we prepare the environment where we have the dependencies needed for the build. In second phase, we run the jobs per architecture and per package. And we run all of them in parallel. We download sources, create changelog entry. So we adjust the changelog to be latest package and build the package. And in last stage, we just take all the artifacts from the other jobs, from the jobs from second phase, and we create a repository from them, and we push them into Git repository. So challenges of the project was mostly like there was no GitLab CI integration. So there was some work done on GitHub CI integration with GitHub, but for GitLab nothing. And since we run on GitLab, we wanted to. So this was interesting. Another thing which is challenging still is build system, because problem is as the packages changes, you want to download, most of the packages wants to download some external dependencies, and otherwise you have to patch it, you have to repack it, you have to do a lot of work around. And problem with this is if you want to let developer of non-Debian developer to update it, you cannot ask them like, okay, can you repack all these dependencies for this one package you want like minor bump? No, you cannot do that. So this is kind of challenging. Another thing was challenging was cross builds. Originally, when I started with the repository, the project, when I got inspired on GitHub, had cross builds. And I was like, right, why not? Why not use cross builds? I figured out pretty early, because for them, for their type of packages, it worked. But for random packages needed for 3D stuff, it doesn't work. So like half of the software doesn't build with cross builds. So what we needed to do is just fire up runners with right architecture and do everything in the container itself without the cross build. And another challenge, and why I'm also talking about this, is like how much work we can recycle. Sometimes I meet some people which having similar problems doing some locally packaging of some stuff because they need some fresh libraries, and we can kind of put this everything effort in one repository and try to like move it forward. So one of the side effects of this effort for our CI is also nightly builds, because it's very easy to create nightly builds with this. You just supply the Debian directory for Mesa from original Debian project and do the adjustments, usually small adjustments for the changes in nightly Mesa. And so far, we are able to supply nightlies for Debian 13 Trixie, but we will be able to do it for Bookworm 2. Just we need more dependencies because some of stuff are too old for compilation and runtime. But except that, this is also already some value, because you don't have to compile for yourself. You can just quickly test the repository if the bug disappeared, which you need to like figure it out, or like it's still there, or if it's still working for you well, and in next version it will still work well. And what's next? I mean, cooperate as much as possible with other developers, other people working on Xorg or Vyland or 3D acceleration, to have like all the packages in best shape within the backports, within the repository. And I mean, it's really great to have possibility to look up into next release of your software and check if everything works nicely. So the CI repository is currently placed here. You can see the link. And thank you for your attention. Thank you, Game. And any questions, feel free to ask. Almost anything. There is question? Go. Yeah.
On what different architectures do you build the project?
So far, we're building x86 64-bit and Arch 64 because we have runners for these, like native runners. Second thing is, which coming now is introducing runners for E386 and for ARM v7, the older 32-bit ARM, because we can run them still on the same hardware. I also have 3 boards of RISC-V at home sitting at the desk, which at some point will get connected. So we will get RISC-V builds for sure. I plan to do that at least for Trixie because the Debian 12 doesn't support officially RISC-V. But so these 5 Arch should be covered pretty soon. And for other Arch, like we currently don't use them or we don't test on them. So, I mean, if someone will be interested and provide some runner or something, we can do anything.
And have you filed bug reports for the packages that can't be cross-compiled? Because I think packages should be by default cross-compilable, and if not, then the packages should be fixed so that you can do it.
To be honest, in the process, it happened for me like for probably like I had at that point like 4 packages or 5 packages which was working, and another like 5 or 6 packages I tried was failing all on the cross compilation. So I didn't expect it will like happen overnight to fix. But if it will get fixed, it would be amazing because for some architecture, of course, we will not have runners, and if we could provide them, it would be nice. So I will be happy to talk to anyone who report these packages. Yeah. Thank you. Any other question? Okay. Thank you again, and have a nice day.